Finally, we're done with Halloween and Thanksgiving, so now we can talk about the best holiday of the year. And what would Christmas be like without watching Home Alone? We already covered Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. If you want to watch those first, the link is up there. I understand a lot of people didn't like Home Alone 3.
What do you want, a Wilkie button?
But there are plenty of people who actually did like Home Alone 3, even said it was their favorite.
How embarrassing.
So today we're going to cover everything you missed in Home Alone 3. Unless, of course, you object.
No, floor it.
I didn't recognize anybody.
It's true that in Home Alone 3 they start with a whole new cast and a new director. Unlike the first two Home Alones, Home Alone 3 was not directed by Chris Columbus. However, they did try to tell another story riding off the coattails of the first two movies' success.
What about Crooks?
For example, even though Mom is now played by Evelyn Morris instead of Catherine O'Hare, you can tell when they casted for the role of the mother that they were trying to copy the same vibe. But this isn't trying to pick up where we left off with Kevin. This is a whole new family with whole new bad guys. And for the first time ever in Home Alone history, there's bad girls too.
I certainly hope that you're not fond that little boy across the street.
They also live in Washington Street, not Lincoln Boulevard.
I'm Kevin McAllister, 671 Lincoln Boulevard.
All the characters are new though, like his big sister was played by none other than Scarlett Johansson, as in from the Avengers.
You're a hero.
Hurry up and subscribe so the world doesn't end, and click the bell so if it does end, you know about it.
Everybody's in a hurry.
His brother, who seems to be taking on the role of the older brother Buzz,
Is it true that French babes don't shave their pits?
or in this case Jack, is played by Seth Smith. And a fun fact is that Seth Smith was actually in a movie with the famous Macaulay Culkin who played Kevin in the first two Home Alones, and that was the movie called Getting Even with Dad.
Daddy! He's watching me pee!
In this movie, instead of showing the older brother and sister have no heart like Buzz, they show us that they do actually care about him,
This is very cool.
But you're a hero.
and they're just living by the motto that no one picks on my little brother except for me.
The it you're referring to is my little brother.
If you have siblings, you probably understand this rule.
Shut up!
Of course, with your little brother being in danger of being killed at any moment, now is probably not the time to flex your sibling powers.
This is no time to panic. This is the perfect time to panic!
Of course, in Home Alone, Kevin was supposed to be 8 in the movie, and he was 10 in real life, so he looks a little bit old for being an 8-year-old.
Hey! I'm not afraid anymore!
In Home Alone 3, Alex is 8 in the movie, and he was 8 in real life. So we might find it harder to believe that he is capable of setting all these little traps to catch the bad guys. To help sell the idea that he's some sort of mad genius so we can believe the plausibility more, they show us that he won first place in the science fair. Even though Home Alone 3 got a lot of complaints for just copying the first two movies, in fact, in many ways, it was more original than Home Alone 2.
We think he intercepted a top-secret electronic device stolen from a Defense Department contractor by a group of international criminals working for a North Korean terrorist organization.
Not to say that our villains are in any way comparable to the awesomeness of Harry and Marv from Home Alone 1 and 2.
That was the sound of a tool chest falling down the stairs.
In Home Alone 1, even with all of Kevin's little traps, at the end of the night, Harry and Marv would have been chopping off his little fingers if it wasn't for the old man saving his life. In Home Alone 2, we see the same exact thing. Even with all the traps that Kevin said, he would still be caught by Harry and Marv if it wasn't for an old lady saving his life.
Shoot her! Shoot her! Shoot her! Shoot her!
Instead of the old lady saving Alex's life, now we can see that Alex is saving the old lady's life, breaking the cycle of the old people saving the helpless kid. Okay, boomer. Of course, we do have a pattern between Home Alone 2 and Home Alone 3. They both use fireworks to help capture the bad guys. This is how they give away the location of the bad guys to the police in the grand finales.
Houston, we have a problem.
Also, these bad guys weren't as stupid as they seemed. If you look in their hideout, you'll see they actually have aerial and or satellite surveillance pictures of the neighborhood. So they clearly have all the latest gadgets that James Bond would have been jealous of.
I have no objections.
All that being said, if it wasn't for Mrs. Hess, the FBI would have actually caught them when they boarded their plane to go back to North Korea. I forgot where they're flying to. Somewhere evil. To go back to Hong Kong. In the FBI headquarters, they show us that they have active surveillance on them. They even know all their known aliases.
Peter Beaupre, Earl Unger, Burton Jernigan, and Alice Ribbons. They were ticketed under known aliases but didn't board the Hong Kong flight.
So they would have known when they would be on the plane that they were originally planning to be on. Even though these evil bandits are new to us, knowing what we know about them, having guns with silencers and having wireless technology and all this other cool stuff, it makes perfect sense that Agent Rogers has been looking for them for 7 years.
7 years I've been after this guy.
But that is an Easter egg.
Yep.
Here's how. Home Alone 3 was released in 1997, so that means that he's been looking for this gang since 1990. Well, 1990 is the year that the very first Home Alone was released.
7 years.
For the Star Wars fans out there, I'm sure you noticed Alex is wearing a Darth Vader helmet, and in the bedroom on his nightstand you can see he has an AT-AT walker. Then what's that, a lightsaber?
So, did you bring me anything?
Think you can drive that?
I think we can handle it.
The remote control car was a real car back in the day that was being sold everywhere, so this is clearly a little double dipping into the profits to have product placement in the movie.
Jyco battery pack sold separately.
Wonder if Copa's watching that.
Beat that, you little trout sniffer.
One product placement that didn't break the tradition of the Home Alone franchise movies was having everyone only fly American Airlines.
Non-stop to New York? In time. Mr. Pruitt?
Dad missed his plane.
Loser.
Shut up.
Make.
But if you're thinking that was the only sponsor to be from all the prior films, I got some news for ya. They weren't. We also see several cases of Pepsi next to the laundry elevator. Don't wet the bed. Another subtle reference they made to Home Alone 2 was when Mrs. Hess said that she had chickenpox when Herbert Hoover was in the White House.
Have you ever had the chicken pox?
I had the chicken pox when Herbert Hoover was in the White House.
If you recall in Home Alone 2, when Kevin stayed in the Plaza Hotel, the bellman told him that Herbert Hoover stayed on the same floor that Kevin was staying on.
You know, Herbert Hoover once stayed here on this floor.
The vacuum guy?
No, the president.
Maybe that's how Mrs. Hess caught the chicken pox, huh?
I did not.
Survey time. Have you ever had the chicken pox? Yes, I had. No, I never had them. Or yes, I have them right now. If you have them right now, please disinfect your keyboard so I don't catch it again. Having a friend in the firefighting world, I can't not mention this mess up though. If there's a bunch of bad guys all over the place, especially known FBI's most wanted, highly dangerous, with bad weapons bad guys, there's no way that you're going to be seeing firefighters or paramedics running around with the cops until the good guys with the guns have secured the scene. Oh no, I just triggered people because I have a toy gun. Go get over it. After the police secure the scene, then they're gonna tell the little fire extinguishing carrying dudes to come join them on the scene. And why were they carrying a fire extinguisher? Where was the fire? I know, it just looks cool. Look, I'm carrying a fire extinguisher too. Some would say this is fake. Another fun little secret worth pointing out is the family photo on the wall that got punched by Earl Unger. That's the same exact photo that we see on the table next to the couch when Earl Unger is breaking in. There are more tributes to the first Home Alone movies, or lazy writing, I'll let you decide which one that is. The closest that Harry and Marv ever had to catching Kevin was probably at the stairs. Marv literally had him in his fingertips, but he escapes because of the spider.
I got him.
And in this case, if Burton Jernigan and Alice Robbins weren't whacking each other because of the pet mouse, then they would have been able to catch him as well.
Alice?
The Jamie Foxx Experiment was a real music video back in those days, and I had the same reaction as Mrs. Hess. This is also the first and only Home Alone that takes place after Christmas. We know the first Home Alone takes place before Christmas because he just wants to have his family for Christmas, and he gets his wish in the end.
Merry Christmas, sweetheart.
Then in Home Alone 2, Kevin wakes up with his family on Christmas morning to get all the presents from Mr. Duncan. Then in Home Alone 4, Taking Back the House, Kevin takes back the house on Christmas Day. In Home Alone, the holiday heist, they literally end the movie opening presents for Christmas. So how do we know that Home Alone 3 took place after Christmas? Well, if you go back to when the villains were interrogating the taxi driver to try to find out where he took Mrs. Hess, Burton Jernigan says the date.
You had a ferry from the airport around 1620 hours, January 8th.
That's right, January 8th.
Why? About 4:30 today, old broad.
And that's also why we don't see very many Christmas decorations in the movie.
Freeze!
I'm thirsty.
I said freeze!
You gotta be kidding.
Well, now that we got Home Alone 3 under our belt, go get yourself a nice big glass of eggnog, then come on back and watch this video again.
Eggnog?
Let me know what Christmas movie you want to talk about next, and remember, most importantly of all,
Share a smile. They are contagious.
also, if you want to get this awesome shirt, no capes, it's a reference to Incredibles, you can get that in the link here. Or if you want this shirt, click the link up here.